and I'm a teacher here at Licht Intermediate School, and I teach 4th grade.
Hi, my name is Ansley Milligan, and I'm also a teacher here at Licht Intermediate School, and I also teach the 4th grade.
Today we will be making a video to demonstrate how to make a proper homework space for you and your 4th grade student in your house.
Now I'm going to share with you a statistic from WikiHow. It says, without a suitable study space, you're most likely to get no work done. You have to clear yourself of distractions and clutter in order to ace that test. So step number 1 for acing that test. The first thing is location. You need to find a permanent homework space in your home for your student to sit at. When thinking of a space, it needs to be somewhere comfortable, but not too comfortable. When thinking of a space, you might want to think of something like a table or a desk, where your student can have a hard surface to write on and all of their school supplies near them. Second, you need to think about background noise. Does your student like being around the living room where a lot of commotion is going on, or do they like to be in a secluded, quiet place? You may think about, is your child asking you to turn up the television when it's on or turn it down when they're working on homework? Either way, just do what's comfortable for your student. Another thing to think about is the comfort. You don't want your student to be too comfortable, like sitting on the couch or on a bed. In our opinion, no couches and no beds. I can't tell you the number of times I've fallen asleep on the couch watching my favorite show, Parks and Recreation, so I can only imagine what it's like for your student working on their math homework on a warm, cozy couch. So next up is Julie with step number 2.
Step 2 to passing that test is all about lighting. I have lights coming over my head right now using electricity, and I also have natural light coming in from the window in front of me. If, for instance, I was to just use natural lighting, it would be this dark in my study area right now. I can barely see the writing in front of me and my eyes are being strained. That is not what you want in a study area for your child. You want as many lights on as possible. You want your child to be really alert in their study area. Usually natural lighting is not enough. It'll fluctuate throughout the day with the sun going in between clouds. You want as many lights on as possible. Studies. Step 3 is coming up next.
So step number 3 for acing that test. Now that you found a great location for your student to study, now you need to consider a table or desk that they're going to study at. The table or desk that you choose needs to be about elbow height for your student. It needs to be just level so your student is comfortable. If it's too high, your student will be straining to do their work, and if it's too low, they're going to be hunching over. You don't want a Goldilocks situation where their desk doesn't fit right for them. Next, after you figure out what table or desk your student is going to sit at, you need to consider chair. Your chair that your student uses needs to be stable and comfortable. So I would not consider a rolling chair because sometimes those are a little bit too fun and tempting while you're doing your homework. Speaking of too much fun, next you need to think about comfort. You need to think about the padding on the seat so your student isn't fidgeting or uncomfortable while they're doing their homework. Also, another great thing to consider is having space at your table or desk for an extra chair in case your child needs help on their homework. So those are just a few things to consider about tables, desks, and chairs. So next up for step 4 is Julie.
Step number 4 to acing that test is school supplies. We do not want our students to be getting up and down from their study spaces, going to their room to grab a textbook, or going and trying to find their backpack to find their folders and binders from school, or, oh, I don't have pens, pencils, and highlighters at my study area, let me go and grab them, from my mom's home office in the next room. We want all of their school supplies at the ready in their study space, and it's also very key that they are allowed to put everything where they want it in their study space. It's uniquely theirs, and in order for it to really work for them, we have to allow them to have a unique twist on it. So if they like having, their pencils and pens easy to reach with their right hand, that's where they need to be. Step number 5 is going to come up next with me, Ansley, putting together a study space. This is step 5 to acing that test. We have set up a practice study area for that we believe works best for the two of us and would work for the students. We have an after-school snack waiting right when they would come home from school. We have some practice homework sitting right here, right where they would be sitting in their chair. We have a pencil waiting, and this is the chair that we would have our students use. It does not have any rolling little balls on the bottom. It's sturdy. It has a cushion for when they sit down, and because the back is a little hard, we've added a pillow to the back of it to give a little more comfort.
We have an organizer here with some supplies like pens and pencils and highlighters. We have some scissors and some post-it notes, some paper clips, a stapler, and a hole punch. It's just really important to have these supplies just readily available for your student so they're not getting up and going elsewhere to get their materials. So they're saving time and they're not as distracted as they would be. So they're just having everything in one space. Same goes with textbooks. It's really important to have them just at their desk already so they're not shuffling around trying to find them. And try to encourage them to keep their backpack near also, because their backpack is where they keep a lot of their papers and notes and books. So it's just good to have that near also so they're not walking around the house and just getting distracted. And then lastly, it's also important for them to just personalize their space. So you can maybe encourage them to make something like a cork board where they have pictures of their family or encouraging notes or funny things from their friends or family that they just like to put up here. And this could be used for when they're studying and just kind of discouraged or tired. They can look up and just feel re-energized and ready to continue studying. So those are some of the tips for step number 5, and now we're going to finish off with some last minute tips. So we had 2 more study tips that we wanted to mention before leaving. The first being temperature. When thinking about our study spaces, we need to think about how warm or cold it is in the room. If it's too warm, students are likely going to start feeling sleepy and may not want to study. So try to keep the room cool to encourage students to stay awake and continue studying.
The second tip we want to leave you with is about using a student's bedroom as the study area. That is a good option, but the room must be kept pretty clean in order to allow them to study in the room properly. We hope that you have found this video informative and educational.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we cannot wait to meet you in the fall.